Well, I don't believe it. Could it be a triple coin spill? We have a beautiful 91 right here. Sounds about right. Let's see. Well, hey folks, my name is Brad. If you happen to be new to my videos, I explore the mountains of Vermont searching for treasure with my metal detector. And today I was invited to this absolutely beautiful old farmhouse that dates back to the colonial times. And it just so happens to overlook Lake Champlain, which, if you didn't already know, is an incredibly historic lake, both for travel and commerce, but also for wars, the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War. So there's absolutely no telling what we're gonna find in the ground here today. Now, if this happens to be one of the first of my videos that you've seen, I publish one of these every single Friday. So if you like what you see here today, consider hitting that subscribe button or just come on back next Friday. I'm gonna get the metal detector turned on and see what we can find here today. $85, sounds deep. See it, it's round and copper it looks like. Is it a coin or is it a button, do we think? Could be a copper, probably a button. Regardless of what it is, it looks like it got hit by a plow or something. It's all crinkled up. It's something though, and it looks old. Let's see what else we can find here. Right here we have a pretty deep 91. Whoa. That is definitely thick enough to be a coin, not a button. Well, earlier we found that little round disc that was all mangled, which was probably a button, but it could have been an old coin. Hard to say, but this thing I just found is 100% an old coin, and it is an awesome one. As we clean it off a little bit, we can see George over here on the left, a Roman numeral 3 up in the right hand corner, which means this is a George III British halfpenny. Now, George III has been known as the king who lost America. He was in power during the American Revolutionary War, and how appropriate to find it in view of Lake Champlain, which was of course heavily used in the Revolutionary War. And this one happens to be in pretty amazing condition. I don't think we're going to be able to read a date, but I can tell from the design of this particular George III coin, it is 1770 to 1775. Really has me optimistic that we might be finding some colonial stuff here. I wasn't really planning on it, the bulk of the habitation of this house being from the 1800s, but again, got Lake Champlain right there. Who knows what we could find? Let's keep searching. All right, we have a beautiful target here. Nice and clear, 91. Sounds deep. Let's see. Right on it. What's this? Incredible. Well, what we have here, and some of you may already know, it's one of my absolute favorite things to find, is a colonial shoe buckle. Unlike the British coin that we found earlier, which was dated end of the 1700s, it could have been spent as money here well into the mid 1800s, but these shoe buckles fell out of fashion 1810, 1820. And I suppose it's possible people could be wearing them into the 1850s and beyond, but probably not. These are a very good indication of pre-1820, which is so exciting. This is here in the ground. Who knows what other manner of things we can find. Obviously, right next to Lake Champlain, we could find French and Indian War stuff. We could find Revolutionary War stuff. You just absolutely never know what the next beep could be. This one, unfortunately, is missing the fork. We do have the chape still intact, though. Doesn't really have a whole lot of decoration. Doesn't look like it was plated in silver or gold. It was probably just polished up brass, which makes sense. You know, we've got this old farmhouse behind us, but an amazing find for me a few hundred years later. Excellent, excellent find. Got a beautiful 85 right here. You can probably see right there I found a beautiful shoe buckle not too long ago. What is this? What in the world? Well, we've got a Weathervane. I don't think it was on top of the house though. That's really funny. I assume it was just like a garden decoration. Probably not too old. Looks like this is enamel. Enamel's chipping off. Just a few feet away from a colonial shoe buckle. A rooster Weathervane. That's pretty cool. Really nice target here. It's a 93. It's kind of on this hill a little bit. What is this? Piece of brass. Oh, I recognize this. Well, I have found several of these over the years, metal detecting places of this age, and at first I thought it was going to be another shoe buckle, but the more I looked at it, it is very thin. I'm fairly confident that this is actually a picture frame. Now you can imagine what kind of photos they had at the end of the 1800s, which is when I'm fairly certain this is from. Those old tin type photos, I have heard stories of people actually finding those with a metal detector inside frames very similar to this. I have personally yet to find something like that, but can you imagine finding an actual photo of, you know, the inhabitants of an old farmhouse like this from the end of the 1800s? Maybe one day. Until then though, we have this beautiful frame and we'll just have to imagine what the photo looked like. Awesome find, and kind of a strange story how it ended up in the backyard. We can use our imagination for that one too. All right, let's keep going here. Well, I am not far from the lake. I have got a 95. This could be absolutely anything. Very excited. Here it is. It is a modern quarter. Oh. Well, maybe the next one. Oh, I thought for sure that was like an 8 real. All right. GoPro, stop record. GoPro, stop record. Got a beautiful 85 right here. Sounds pretty deep, which is great. Oh, it's small. What do we have here? I don't have any idea what this is. Well, it appears we have another mystery find here, and you know, I try to include at least one thing in every video that I can't identify, and you folks, the viewers, have been on an absolute roll with the last dozen or so videos, nailing every single one of them. So I'm coming again back to you to see if we can figure out what this thing is. It seems to be made out of a very almost crumbly brass material, and it looks like maybe a broken harp. There's lots of filigree on it. I'm not quite sure, but that shape reminds me of a harp or maybe like a leaf. And the first thing it reminds me of is the end of this letter opener that I found many years ago. A beautiful letter opener with a very similar motif. This, unfortunately, we just have the end, so it could go to literally anything. But it seems like it's beautiful enough to be something that was cherished and used on a daily basis. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sure one of you will crack the code here and figure this out for me. Well, this sounds very, very good. 91, sometimes 93. Ooh, looks like another copper coin. Unbelievable. Well, we have another old copper coin from this amazing property. This one, though, is slightly newer, but only slightly. It looks like it's an 1810 United States large cent. Now, this design, while not particularly rare, it's certainly rare for me for it to come out of the ground looking like this. This particular design, the classic head, which was only really made a few years, for some reason, for me, always comes out of the ground barely identifiable. This might be the best one I have ever found. We can see Liberty on the crown here, many of the stars around the outside, of course 1810, and the back is absolutely beautiful. Now again, these big copper coins were widely used in circulation up until the 1850s, so this could have been dropped as late as 1850, but there's a lot of details left on this. It doesn't seem like it was in circulation for all that long. I would venture a guess that it was dropped shortly after it was made. This is by far my favorite time period to find coins and relics. The end of the 1700s, early 1800s. You just never know what could be in the ground. And what a view we have today. Let's see what else we can find. Got a very nice target here, sometimes 89, sometimes as high as 92, 93. Let's see. Ooh, is that what I think it is? I think so. Incredible. Incredible. We have another one. Colonial shoe buckle. Two different, very small, thick shoe buckles. Sometimes we'll find them and they'll be very large and almost delicate, whereas this one is very robust, very thick. Looks like the shape and the fork were made out of iron. I almost wonder if this is more of like a work buckle, work boot buckle, worn by the farmers that lived here. Incredible find. We've got a pretty solid 88 here, but it's either going to be deep or small because it's a very faint sound. There it is. Well, the thing that I just found is actually a fairly common find for anywhere before 1900. This is just part of a barrel tap, right? You can imagine a barrel full of maybe water, maybe beer, maybe wine. And, you know, funny enough, months ago, I had this little item that I found that I couldn't identify. A bunch of people down in the comments section were able to identify it as part of the locking mechanism for a barrel tap. Now, this particular barrel tap, you can see that the key is connected. You couldn't lock this one. So maybe it was just water, and they reserved the locking taps for wine or mead or beer or something worth a little bit more money. This is one of those finds that can transport you back hundreds of years when you find one, right? Like those big old copper coins and shoe buckles, this is one of those things that we just don't really see anymore, and it's always exciting to find them. Just a great look back into history. Well, here in this tall grass, I have just the squeak of a high 90s. Which is pretty exciting. Let's see. It's out, whatever it is. Ooh, what do we have here? That is a thick copper coin. And I don't know if you can see this. That is another one I found. Could be considered a coin spill. Well, whenever I find a coin, old or new, after I close up the hole, I always double check the hole and the area just to make sure that the person who lost it didn't lose more than one. I definitely double checked that 1810 large cent hole, which was 3 feet away. But I guess I didn't search far enough because here we are with another large cent, and this one is pretty incredible. United States large cent, dated 17 1798. It's a little bit difficult to see, but we can see the 98 there at the end, so we know it has to be a 1798. I'd like to think that this large cent was in the same pocket as that 1810, a few feet away. And now we can speculate about how they found their way into the ground. Just a farmer with a hole in his pocket, maybe kids were sledding down this hill. Let me know what you think. In any case, I am going to stand up and quadruple check this area 3, 4, even 5 feet away to see if maybe there's some more. You know, even though that British coin we found earlier was 30 years older, this one I think is the coin find of the day, being that it's from the United States and also the 1700s. Incredible find. Well, I don't believe it. Could it be a triple coin spill? We have a beautiful 91 right here. Sounds about right. Let's see. It is a triple coin spill. What is this? It's a modern dime. 2009. Well, that's not what we were hoping for. What the heck? 1810, 1798, 2000 whatever. Yeah, that's how it goes, I guess. This must be a good spot to lose coins regardless of what year it is. All right, folks, well, I am calling it a day, and what an absolutely incredible place this was. We found basically all of the things I would hope to find at a place of this age. Old coins from the 1700s, buttons, shoe buckles, 2 of them, and you know, many of the typical farm items we would find at a place like this. And you cannot beat the view. Lake Champlain there behind us. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you'll join me next week for another new adventure somewhere up here in the mountains of Vermont.